Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Nathan Ronen, CFA here, with the third part and the final part of a three-part series for CFA Level I candidates. Those taking the exam in February, May, August, or November, and those contemplating entering the CFA Level I program and aren't sure about it. This is the third part of a three-part series on the errors that CFA Level I candidates make, and I'd like you to continue hearing this. Please press the subscribe button and the notifications bell so that you can continue to receive these updates as I post them on a weekly or bi-weekly basis on my YouTube channel and other forms of social media. Nathan, you told me in part one of the big errors. Thank you for that. Part two, another one. All right, what's the third big error? Well, if you want to know what the first two were, and I wouldn't skip them, I'd go back to those particular recordings and listen to them, to those videos and listen to them. And now let's do error number three, that is among my top three of why Level I candidates fail the Level I exam or why they just don't succeed in getting the charter. The third big mistake is poor practice question strategy. If I had a nickel, I don't know about a nickel, but a dime, for every time I hear candidates say that they failed the exam, and when I ask them why, what kind of problems they did, they just tell me they did QBank questions from a third-party provider, or QBank questions from the CFA Institute, or just end-of-chapter questions. I get very nervous. Those questions are specifically designed to help you to see if you've understood the material in that particular reading. The end of chapter questions in the CFA curriculum, or the gray box, blue box questions, whichever color it is these days, the QBank questions, whether they're from CFA Institute or any other third-party prep company, let's say, are not the best practice questions that you can use. They are designed to make sure that you understood what you read in their prep notes, if it's a prep provider, or in the CFA curriculum, if you're using the CFA QBank, CFA Institute QBank. You need to be a little bit more savvy than that and realize that those questions are linear questions. They are, if you will, shooting directly into the basket, meaning they're questions that come directly out of the book. Linear questions. The exam is going to, as I've told you in part one and part two, I'm going to ask you a lot of integrated questions. They're going to tie in multiple learning outcome statements, readings, modules, whatever you want to call them, concepts. They're not going to be highly focused on calculations. These are the things you have to be concerned about, okay? And I had somebody recently contact me, and they were I think it was either fourth or fifth time, I don't remember if it was the fourth or fifth time, but it was a lot of times taking the Level I exam, and they were exasperated because they were putting in, 800 hours or 600 hours or whatever they said they were putting in. Who knows how they're counting it? I don't doubt them, but who knows how they're counting it, but it doesn't matter. And they're just not passing the exam. And when I hear their strategy for doing questions, I say, well, don't you see a disconnect? And they're like, well, yeah, the questions on the exam are quite different. Well, what are you going to do about that? And they say, well, I just keep trying, using the same procedure over and over again, hoping to yield a different result. That's the definition of insanity per Einstein. So you got to be doing something better. Now, is this something that I've heard one time or two times or three times? No, I've heard this over the 28, 29, 30 years that I've been teaching CFA Level I, and even at Level II and Level III, is this looking for some kind of easy approach to bang this exam and get a great result and not do really much work. Now, the other one that I hear is, I really expected when I bought the CFA Institute's additional mock exams, and I think I paid $300 for it, and there were 5 or 6 exams. What are you expecting the CFA Institute to charge you for the exam and for the study materials? $1,000, $1,200, $1,300, whatever it goes for these days, and then for an additional $300 give you the questions to the exam? Wow. You better check that kind of thought process out. Why would they do that? What would happen is if they ever did that, you would go right onto the forums and tell everybody, hey, everybody, don't read the curriculum. Just buy the CFA Institute's mock exams that they give you for $300. Memorize the questions, go in there, and they're all the same. Come on. You think that CFA Institute is not stupid? They're not going to do that for you. I mean, you could do those mock exams. They're okay, I guess. But that's not the way to do it either. So you need practice. And practice needs to build understanding, not just familiarity. And I can't help but say that again. Practice needs to, if you will, again, build understanding, not familiarity. So you need to make sure that the practice questions that you're doing are really relevant to the kinds of questions or similar to the kinds of questions that you can expect on exam day. They're not going to be linear questions. That's why my videos, my mock exams, my materials are all geared around that. You have to do the work, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody gives you a pass just for not doing the work. But I'm going to make sure that you understand the material, the content, and how everything ties in together. The questions that I do in my videos are just like that. The questions that I ask on my mock exams are just like that. That's why I have a very high pass rate. That's why people do well, because they get really well prepared for the exam. So the solution, if you haven't been passing the level 1 exam, or if you want to pass the level 1 exam, is to make sure that you have a good practice question strategy. And that's what I'm going to take care of when we meet on Zoom once you become a student of mine or a candidate of mine. So the solution here is to focus why, when you do a question and you get it wrong, why the answer is wrong, why your answer was wrong, and why the correct answer is correct. And if you have well-developed exam questions or well-developed mocks or well-developed practice questions, they're going to do that. Okay. You also want to, another, if you will, solution is to practice with exam-style questions, not linear questions, because, for example, the reading on income taxes in the financial statement analysis is going to focus on income taxes, deferred taxes, current income taxes, but they're not going to tie it into the statement of cash flows, but the exam might just do that. That's what my videos do. They tie in the different readings together so that you can apply the concepts. So you want to practice with exam-style questions. You want to do an adequate number of mock exams. I think you need to spread out and diversify your sources. I wouldn't do 8 mock exams from one prep provider. I wouldn't do mock exams from prep providers that, never even took the CFA Level I exam, never even got their charter. I don't know why you would do that, but okay. So you want to do reputable mock exams, and I will disclose to you when we're doing our study plan who those are, in addition to the ones that I have for you. I would also try to learn from my mistakes. Going through a mock exam and then repeating it with the expectation that those questions are going to be on the real exam is kind of foolish. So you want to make sure that you are learning from your mistakes and you're not just focusing on your scores. Because I'm going to tell you right now, getting an 80 on a mock exam doesn't mean you're passing the real exam. And getting a 30 on a mock exam doesn't mean you're failing the real exam, because there's no correlation. We don't know. Prep providers cannot provide you, I cannot provide you with a replica of the questions on the real exam. We can provide you with the format, the number of questions, the weights of the topics, and which questions are asked in session 1, which questions are asked in session 2, but we can't give you the exact questions. So you can study, and every mock exam that you do, for example, has a question on Gordon growth model or dividend discount models, but suddenly you don't get any question on the real exam. It happens. But on another exam, they will ask it. So there's no way to look for a one-to-one correlation between your scores on the mocks and the real exams. That's the solution. So now, I've presented in these 3 videos, part 1, part 2, and part 3, the 3 typical mistakes that candidates make. Hopefully you learned a lot from it and you won't make those mistakes. So what are your options going forward? Your 2 options, number 1 and number 2, is to just throw it up in the wind and just do it on your own. Just go at it DIY and hopefully pass. Again, for some people, hope is a strategy. Hope to me has never been a strategy. And basically do it yourself and hope, and maybe spend a lot of money doing takes and retakes and second retakes and third retakes and getting stuck at a particular level, which I don't advise, because time is money and studying is time, and time again is money. And then the other one is to work with a reputable prep company like myself, somebody who's been in the business for a while, who knows the exam, who can guide you through it, who can show you what's important, what's not, what's testable, what's not, who's going to show you the connections between the things, not just read you a bunch of PowerPoint slides or give you generic information like, well, you should study hard. Yeah, what are you going to do with that? So I would suggest to you working with me, working with the Ronen methodology, signing up with me for my premium package or my essential package. Yeah, I'm doing a little sales pitch here, relax. And at the end, let's get together on Zoom and bang out a study plan that you can work with to pass your level 1 exam. And then let's move on to level 2, level 3, and get you the charter. So you either have a choice. You can do it all by yourself, try to save a couple of bucks, and then when you retake, if that happens, then you'll see the additional costs lining up, and that for whatever it is, $395, you could have had a good assistance and passed. And then the other thing is to work with me, which I highly recommend. And you could see my material on chalkandboard.org. That's CHALK and AND, board, BOARD. That's chalkandboard.org. And you could see my email address there, my phone number. You could reach out to me. You could text me. You'll always have access to me from the moment of purchase until the moment you take your exam. That's what should help you, and you shouldn't be shy to get help. Have a great day. Good luck to you, and I hope you enjoyed these videos.